We have a burned out fan on the second floor. This ceiling is 12-foot slope ceilings. So I've got a 10-foot ladder, and that will make removing this fan super easy. All right, let's see how easy the Harbor Breeze Carlow 52-inch large room indoor fan is to install. I will be replacing a burned out fan with this one, and it says it's very easy to install. So let's see how it goes. All right, because I'm removing this fan because it's dead, I'm just gonna remove one blade so that it's easier for me to get up on the ladder. And then I'm going to detach it from the ceiling. I have sped things up a little bit here. There are 2 Phillips screws that I'm removing by hand so I can get that blade off. Once I have that out of the way, I'm using a small flathead and I am just loosening 2 screws that will allow me to drop that ceiling cover plate. Once I lower the ceiling cover, you can see I've got a ground wire and a black and white wires. So I'm going to remove these pigtails. I'll make sure the power's off first, and then I will start looking at removing this mount that it swings from. I can't find the breaker, or actually I can find the breaker, but it'll be pitch black in here if I hit the breaker and I want the lights on. So I'm just going to trust the switch, but I will double check the switch. So as you can see, the switch is still on. And by the way, I am using a Southwire voltage detector. All right, so with the fan off, let's check the voltage. All right, now my voltage is off. So I can safely take off those 3 wire harnesses. All right, now with my supply wires separated, ground, white, and black, I can now lift this ceiling fan right off its yoke. There we go. I can lower this thing to the ground. The old hardware was being held on with 3/8 inch nuts. I'll spin those off by hand. There were some lock washers in there. So it's a nut and a lock washer. And I'm gonna do this off camera so I don't drop this thing on the floor. All right, and there is our junction box to work with. All right, now I'm gonna put the bracket on these 2 screws. And it would be nice if this opening was completely facing upward, but this upward angle will be okay. And now on each one of those posts, I'm gonna put a lock washer and then a nut. And here's the lock washer and nut. I will have to do this off camera. All right, so our mounting bracket is secure, and we have our wires kind of threaded through the middle. There's 1 ground wire from that bracket hanging off. We can go to the next step. After pulling the new fan motor out of the box, this orange piece of plastic is just there so the wires don't get kinked, so you can just throw that away. Now, I am putting an 18-inch extension on my ceiling fan, so this small extension needs to be removed from where this thing anchors to the ceiling. So I'm just removing some cotter pins and loosening some set screws. There you can see me pulling out that cotter pin on the bottom. Now I'll be able to slide out that small extension that just comes with the fan. Again, I've got an 18-inch extension because I've got 12-foot ceilings. So now I've got my 18-inch extension. I'm gonna slide it through, and then I'm gonna reassemble it basically the same way that small extension was. So I'm gonna put that metal pin through the hole on top, and that's what's really going to anchor this thing into that mounting ball joint, if you will. So once I kind of get that set like I do have it, now I'm going to take my screwdriver and just tighten that set screw, which is on the bottom side. So, all right, so I'm just taking a Phillips and I'm just getting it nice and snug so that thing doesn't slide around. When you got everything together, this is how it's going to look. Again, this is an 18-inch extension. I'll put links in the description to everything I'm using. And here is the new motor. And the first thing I want to do is loosen these set screws, because when it comes in the package, these are actually turned all the way in, and you won't be able to get your extension down into that hole if those things are still tightened all the way. So I'm going to spin those loose. Now, the wire that it comes attached to the ceiling fan is long enough to handle my 18-inch extension. So don't forget, first you want to put that motor cover on the bottom. You're going to slide that through the wire first. Now I am sliding the wire through my 18-inch extension, and it's going to eventually come out the top end. If you do have any problems getting it past that little metal pin, you might need to take that top off again. With the wires pulled all the way through, now I want to reinsert that pin and cotter pin, and you can see it'll go through the top of the motor housing as well as the extension. And once it pops out, that small hole facing the camera, now I'm just going to slide in my cotter pin. And that's really going to hold everything together. But now I want to tighten my two set screws, and that'll just keep everything from wiggling around. It'll make everything nice and snug. And just a reminder, there are two set screws that you want to tighten. Now, with everything snug, you can just take that little housing on top and slide it down, and this thing is assembled. Now, if you're really paying close attention, you'll see I'm working on the wiring here, but I forgot to add the actual ceiling cover for where it mounts. So, going backwards, I am now sliding that ceiling cover back on, and then I can put the top assembly back together. Only then do you actually want to start mounting this fan motor to the ceiling. Okay, so I just about have that top assembly put together for the second time, just tightening that set screw. With that all snug down, now I can get back up on the ladder. I've got the ceiling cover on, and I'm sliding that yoke into place on that ceiling bracket, and then I'm going to slide it around because there's a little slot that's going to fit in a key. And once you hit that slot, now your yoke won't spin anymore, and that is exactly how you want it set. Now this fan comes conveniently with some quick connects. So there you can see I'm sliding the black wire into its quick connect, and now I will slide the white wire into its quick connect. And this is nice, but you do have to push them in pretty hard. Once I've got those installed, you're still going to use a traditional pigtail to connect. There's going to be 3 ground wires total spun together. One is the lead from your house, and then there are 2 green wires, one from the fan, one from the mounting bracket. Once you've got that pigtail on, you've got just about all your wires connected. Now you just need to connect that quick connect, that wire harness that takes the wires from the fan motor itself to your power supply. Once those are all connected, you have completed the wiring, and now you just want to very gently take your wires and tuck them inside that ceiling bracket so that you can raise up your ceiling cover. So I'm doing this very gently. I don't want any wires to come loose. And now I'm just taking that ceiling cover, and I'm going to spin it clockwise until it snaps onto its mountings. And there you go. I found it's a little easier to install the fan blades on a 6-foot ladder so you can get right underneath the fan. So here you can see I'm inserting a blade into its slot, and then there will be 3 screws holding this thing snug. Each screw will have a lock washer and a flat washer. So make sure you install all of those to do this properly, and you'll also have the fan balanced properly. So I'm doing all this by hand. I don't like to use a power driver as I might cross thread these screws. So it's a little extra work to do it by hand, but then you know you've got them all in
properly. So once you get one in, you're just going to repeat the process. This fan has 5 blades. This fan does come optionally with a light. For my daughter's room, we opted for the fan with the light. So there are just 2 quick wire harnesses that connect the light to the bottom of the fan motor. Once you push those together, you'll hear a click. And once those are in, then you can push the light cover up to the fan, and you're just going to rotate it until you feel 2 tabs slide in. Then you'll just rotate it clockwise, and then I just triple checked to make sure that I got it mounted properly because I didn't want this thing to fall. Then you're just about done putting the fan together. If your old fan had a rheostat, you want to remove that because this fan operates off a normal switch. A rheostat can actually damage it. So now let's test things and see how they work. So with the power switch on the wall, we'll test the light first. Working good. Now let's see if we can turn the fan on. Excellent. The fan is starting to rotate, and let's just go ahead and see if we can turn the fan speed up. And it looks like everything is responding to the remote properly. Thanks for watching. Check out the description for more information and hit that subscribe button if you'd like to see more videos.